Hello and welcome to Grief Week 3 of Mogless and Mourning. Today we are going to be talking about feeling lost, hearing phantom meows, all that kind of fun stuff that has been happening since my dear cat Tilly passed a little over 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a bit crazy. Let's jump in. Hello and welcome back to Mogless and Mourning. My name's Dawn. I've been talking over the past few weeks about what my experiences have been since I lost my cat Tilly. Talking mainly about pet grief and about how it's been for me, hopefully resonating with some of you out there. Firstly, before I jump in, I just want to say that if you're watching this video, there's only one reason why you would be here. I know the kind of stuff that you have been Googling and looking for on YouTube to try and find some comfort with what you're going through, and just believe me that my heart goes out to you. So it sucks. Week 3 then. Phantom meows. This has been an interesting one. It's something that people talk about a lot, that you're going to start hearing, you'll start hearing cats, or you'll start hearing them, the sound of something purring in the next room or whatever. And I hadn't had any of that actually for the first couple of weeks. At least I don't think I did. You know, it's all a bit of a blur, but I don't remember really having it. What seems to have happened in week 3 is there's this kind of gap that appears from just a little bit of distance, a bit of time has passed. And so there are moments when I feel okay. And it's a bit like in that gap of okay, this horrible stuff appears. And one of the things is the phantom meows. It's a little bit like your mind is just playing tricks on you. So Tilly, by the way, had a very distinctive meow. I imagine that every cat pet owner says that, but she did. She meowed like she had smoked 40 a day her entire life. Really croaky. So I know, aside from the fact that she's dead, I know it's not Tilly when I hear a cat meowing. Of course it's not Tilly, but it doesn't stop me from going to the window, from checking downstairs or upstairs. I don't know why. You know it's crazy stuff in your head anyway. And the same with purring. I thought that I heard her purring because I think I've mentioned that I work from home and I write, and I'm mainly writing in as close to silence as I can get. Sometimes the only sound in the house would be Tilly purring. And sometimes I think I've heard it. And a couple of times it's actually been a neighbor or someone outside who's been doing something like with quiet machinery that through the house has sounded like Tilly purring, which is great, obviously. That's really but as well as the purring and the meowing, which definitely isn't happening, but I'm now hearing a lot in my dreams, I think that she's meowing for me. And this one I do find this really upsetting because it's very real. In the dream, I have just woken up in bed and I've woken up to the sound of her meowing. And obviously you get to know your cat's meows, and I knew when she was just meowing for me, she just wanted me. And usually then I would just go pick her up, give her a cuddle, and she'd settle right back down. And those are the meows that I'm hearing when I wake up at night, and I'm hearing in my dream. And then I wake up and I think, it's like I forget that she's gone. And I wake up thinking, was Tilly just meowing for me or was I dreaming it? And it's actually option C, which she's not here anymore. As well as this, I keep thinking things like I must remember to order her some more medicine, because I haven't ordered her some medicine in a while. I must order her some more of her medicine. Or I will check before I turn around in the kitchen to make sure she's not behind me. You know, just the way that you were used to living with your pet. That just doesn't instantly go. There's just this lag. And it seems like in the first week and even in the second week, there's so much shock and horrible big emotions that are going on that there's really no space for any of this craziness to come in yet. At least it didn't for me. I was just riddled with very raw grief, and it's only now that the things like, oh, I must remember to order her some more medicine, and oh, did I just hear a meow? It's only now that that stuff is starting to happen. And it's kind of bittersweet in a way, because it does give you a very, very brief glimpse into what your life was like before they passed. For a split second, it's the normal that you used to know. And that's hard, but it's really lovely for the few seconds that it lasts. And I kind of always feel just really sad when I realise that it's not real, and I don't have to order her any more medicine. She doesn't need medicine anymore. She's free from needing medicine at last. This leads me quite neatly into my second point. Just plain missing her. Like I said, the first and second weeks, the feelings were so raw, and so much of it, I think, was a kind of horror of what had happened at the vets. The actual, reliving and the looping of what had happened in that room. That was the whole of the first week and into the second week. Now there is much more of just this feeling of the world doesn't feel right. I know she's gone, but I can't quite get used to how the world feels without her in it. And it's stupid things. It's like walking past the vets. The vets are right around the corner from my house. I can get there in like a 2-minute walk. So I go past there all the time. And it's like you're not part of this really crap club anymore. It was always Tilly's vets. Now it's just the vets. And don't get me wrong, there's a large part of me that's very happy that I'm not going back to that insanely expensive vets anymore with my unwell cat. Very happy that that is all over and she can rest in peace. But there is also a feeling of that was part of a chapter of my life, part of my Tilly years, and that is now over. I now don't go to that vets anymore. I'm not part of that. It's not in my world, which is very odd. Same thing with like stuff I would do at home all the time, like yoga. Most mornings I would get up and do a very short yoga video, just sort of 10-15 minutes of stretching or wake the body up, whatever. And Tilly loved it. Tilly would always come down and join me. And I haven't been able to do yoga since. And I tried the other day, and I actually brought her ashes wrapped up in her blanket down with me. It just made it sadder, to be honest with you. I think I need to park yoga until I'm completely out the other side of this and not feeling just like I'm gonna cry through doing some morning stretches because I have my cat's ashes with me. Because in amongst all of this stuff that I'm talking about in week 3 is the feeling of the end of an era. When you have a pet for many years, I said I had Tilly for 17 years, they do form an era of your life. Those were my Tilly years. They always will be my Tilly years. And now I'm into whatever these years are going to be, my wilderness years. I don't know what these years are going to be yet, but at the moment they're just Tillyless. And that's very hard to get used to. I hadn't even really realised at the time that having a pet, even presumably for a short amount of time, but definitely if you have a pet for a long amount of time, they become this significant period of time in your life. They themselves, they are the hallmarks. There's from when you got them to when you don't have them anymore, those are their years with you. There was before them, and now there's after them. And heading off into the after Tilly is not very nice. The rawness of what happened in the vets has definitely lessened, and I don't loop about that. I still think about it, but now I can actually consciously stop myself when I go there, which, by the way, if you're looping in that place, stop it as quickly as you can. I know that our minds go back and hit replay. I don't know why they do it. It's always awful. I think in the first week, you kind of can't really help it. It's so raw and new that it just goes round and round. But here in week 3, I have an ability now to sort of jump in and cut that off as quickly as I can. So I do that now, and I think that is helping. I don't need to think about what happened in the vets anymore. I can leave that to the past as I try to make sense of whatever this is. Yeah, so there is kind of a new normal. I don't think that this will be the normal forever. It still very much feels like it's all in transition. But things definitely feel, they don't feel as bad, but that's only because I've got more used to them, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like anything has got easier. It's like my expectations of enjoyment have lowered. It's like I've got more used to her not being here, but that doesn't mean that it's nice. It just means I've got more used to the quiet, the emptiness, and the coldness. And that's obviously not very nice. I think that in the first week or two, it's such a shock. It's things like when you come home and they're not there is such a shock. And now in week 3, it's not a shock anymore that she's not here, but it is deeply sad. And what it really means is that I've kind of got used to feeling sad most of the time. That's the current normal. So I think I spoke about this in my second video, this feeling of isolation. Forgive me if I didn't talk about it, but it's definitely been there for a while. And that has definitely deepened. I'm sort of predisposed to isolate myself away from the world a lot anyway. And this has just sort of just sent me completely into isolation mode. I think that that was sort of self-preservation really for the first week or two. I was so fearful of people being kind of like, oh, I just couldn't bear the thought of that. So I just didn't want to speak to anybody. And really, I'm quite a difficult person to comfort anyway. I don't like sympathy. I don't really like to be hugged. You know, if I'm upset, I kind of just want to be just left. So it does become isolating because you can't really reach out for help. And I haven't really been reaching out for help. This week, week 3, I have done a little bit and it hasn't really gone very well. Some people, sort of the more friends who are on like the outskirts, you know, not like my inner circle people, I've spoken to some of them about it, or rather I've let them know. There were some people who didn't know that Tilly had died and got that kind of, oh, bummer kind of response, which just makes me clam straight back up again. And, you know, I don't stop talking to them or anything, but I'll just be like, oh, just tell me about your holiday. Let's just talk about that. I clearly can't talk about this subject with you. And I would say that for most people, even the people that I consider very close in my life, it's still not easy to talk about, because the more that time moves on, the more that people assume that you have moved on, and the more that if you aren't being what they're used to seeing, the more they're asking you what's wrong. And you're still there going, still the dead cat. I'm still on that. So, and of course you can't say that. So you end up just kind of going, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I've got a bit of a headache. Yeah, I have actually taken to outright lying sometimes now. Now I will just say I'm just not feeling very well, because, you know, there's a grain of truth in there anyway, isn't there? And it's certainly easier than me trying to explain to some people that my cat died 3 weeks ago and I'm still struggling with it. So I just kind of don't bother. And I do wonder actually if this whole thing is going to make me more comfortable with just being the fairly isolated person that I am, because to be honest, I've always really hated it about myself. I've always kind of envied people who are social butterflies, and I've always felt like when the stuff hits the fan, those people probably have a ton of friends and family that they can pull around them to help them get through. And when you're a very isolated person, you don't really have that. There just hasn't been anyone to reach out to. And I do wonder if what I'm going to end up learning is just being more okay with just being this by myself. Because if the options are speaking to people and feeling really misunderstood or unheard, I'd rather not bother. I can get through this fine on my own. And you and the internet, obviously, because I'm doing this. But you know what I mean, though. Like, maybe what I'll learn is that just, I don't know. I don't really need anyone. I just need my cat. Physically, most of that hasn't changed yet, to be honest with you. I'm still trying. Like I think I said I was trying last time. I tried to run yesterday. I think I managed 2 miles and it was hard. And previously, like 3 weeks ago, when I was a different person. I was not this person 3 weeks ago. Before Tilly died, the day before she died, upbeat, happy, full of energy, bouncy, working out all the time, eating right. And even though life had its difficulties, a lot of the difficulties in my life are around my work and things like that. Those haven't changed, but they all looked and felt different 3 weeks ago. And now everything just feels 1,000 times harder, and that hasn't cleared yet. That goes for running and eating and working out. I have no energy at all, and it's nothing to do with sleep. Sleeping loads, not sleeping too much, but I'm sleeping fine. But I think it must just be the emotional drain of it. I'm really not sure. But regardless, that has not come back yet. We're 3 weeks in. I can't even think about doing weightlifting. I'm not doing yoga. I definitely can't think about lifting weights, and I can barely run. I'm sort of just trying to scale everything back now to going walking, getting fresh air and keeping moving a bit, that sort of thing. And focusing mainly on what's, that health and this health. They seem to be the priorities, because I think that when this happens, your life will scale itself back around. Whenever there's a big loss, this seems to happen to people. Everything shrinks around you to the bare basics of what you need. You don't really need to be working out right now. You don't really need to be going running or forcing yourself to do these things. Like, you don't really need to be around a group of people if you don't want to. Everything unravels you back to the core of yourself, and you're left with something very bare in there, just very authentic. And it's like just this hard, cold version of you that you're going to regrow from. And that's where I'm at the moment. I'm cold, hard dawn. Last week I said that I was a 4 out of 10 on this kind of normality scale. And I would say that in week 3, I don't know, 4.5. No, it's better than that, but it's probably not much more than a 5 or a 6. Let's say it's a 5.5 of normal in terms of how I'm feeling. I definitely have glimpses where I think it's like the cloud lifts and suddenly go, oh God, it's over. I feel normal again, and can message my best, just talk normally to people and be real about it, not be sending normal messages feeling like I'm just acting, I'm just playing a part as I'm sending messages. I can actually be completely real in that moment. It comes and it goes very, very quickly. But when it's there, it's quite nice. And it does give me hope that moving into week 4 and beyond, there's going to be a bit more of that kind of, I don't know, reconnecting with my real self and my real world and my people as well. But we'll see. So that is it for today's video. I will be posting again in a week to let you know how week 4 has gone. Before I know it, it's going to have been a month. It was the 13th of September that she died. So yeah, I'm going to be there pretty soon. In the meantime, just keep going, keep ticking through. I know it is so tough. I had this shrine that I ended up making for Tilly straight away. It was like the day I came back from the vets, I think. I ended up building her this shrine. And it's only now that I'm really starting to scale the shrine back a little bit. You have to give yourself so much time with this. I really don't know how long I'm going to be feeling weird for. Charles keeps telling me that I'm doing really well. And he just keeps telling me, like, you're doing so much better than you were. And you kind of think like, well, thank God for that, because I like to hope that things are getting better. My God. But it's just step by step by step. And once I've finished this series, I think I'm only going to do 4 of them. And after that, I'm going to be talking more broadly about pet grief and other issues around it, especially around not having children and pet grief, because I think that makes it a slightly different experience and is something that I'm really interested in. So yeah, just kind of a heads up of that's the stuff that I'll be talking about in the future anyway. So I will see you next time, and until I do, thank you so much for watching and take care. Okay, bye.